What's up, everybody? This is Christian Haramansky, the Red Shirt Realtor, coming at you right now. That's something new that I'm trying. I'm the Red Shirt Realtor right now. So what I want to talk about is actually a book that I just recently read. It's How to Win Friends and Influence People. And ultimately this book had a lot of interesting points. I mean, it was written back in like the 1930s. I didn't even know self-development was big in the 1930s. It was written by Dale Carnegie. And they had some, like it had chapters on how to deal with people, how to influence people, how to make friends with people. And I just want to go into some of the principles in this book that I actually kind of really liked. So the first part of the book was pretty much how to handle people, and this one specifically had 3 principles with dealing with people. Principle 1 was don't criticize, condemn, or complain, which, I mean, I understand why that one is extremely important, especially if if you yourself, or everybody falls into this trap of complaining or judging other people, and that kind of starts to tear and wear on us. After a while, I see this all the time within myself. If I'm in a good mood, I tend to praise people, I tend to see the good in people, I tend to just be happy overall. But when I start to have those little moments of just one little complaint comes in there, just one little complaint pops into my mind, or one little judgment of somebody, and now, that kind of creates this like snowball effect, and then I start doing that a little more and more, and then it completely shifts me into a more negative and bitter mood. So principle 1, just seeing that, and looking at that and just seeing, hey, maybe I shouldn't complain, or when I do see a complaint come in my mind, just reframe it into something positive. That helps me quite a lot. Whenever I have like a negative thought coming in, I just reframe it into a good thought. Let's say somebody cuts you off on the freeway, whatever it is, and like your initial reaction would be like, oh, what a jerk cutting me off, whatever. Maybe they reframe it, oh, maybe that person, is rushing because somebody's sick at home, or maybe that person, has whatever going on. Maybe he's just in a bad mood. It could be anything. So I really like that. That's a good principle. Give honest and sincere appreciation. He stated like when somebody does something good, or somebody does something that you appreciate, definitely show that to that person. And the key is, like he said, being sincere about it. So don't flatter people just for the sake of flattering them, just so they like you, because that never goes well. Whenever you flatter somebody, it comes off very insincere, and people can actually feel that. So that was a pretty cool principle. Arouse in the other person an eager want. So that one, he was talking about how everybody, everybody has certain things they want out of life and certain things they want to achieve, and it is our goal, especially as a salesperson, especially being in real estate, if when somebody's looking for a house or somebody's looking to sell their home, I definitely want to know their wants and needs. So I try to get, I don't want to say extract, that sounds like a bad word, but I try to like question and listen to what the other person really truly wants, and that tends to let people open up more. Just no judging, just completely listening to what they are looking for, and then maybe you can even provide that. So those are the main 3 principles of learning how to handle people. So, and then part 2 goes into the 6 principles of making people like you. So there's a lot of cool principles. So principle 1 would become genuinely interested in other people. It's not how much you say to somebody, it's not how much you can talk somebody's ear off. Just because you have knowledge about something, and just because you have interest about something, you can talk somebody's ear off, but that doesn't mean they'll like you in the end. What people really want, because everybody loves to hear their own name, is one thing, and everybody likes to hear themselves talk. So that goes back to the other one, getting an eager want, like just talk to, like just talk and ask questions, and kind of let the other person talk and just listen. And that would go a huge way, because everybody is always eager to share their opinion, share what they feel. But does anybody really just sit down and listen to the other person with no judgment, no other thoughts, like what am I going to have for dinner later? Like, just really be present in that moment with that person and just truly listen to them. Principle 2 is actually a simple one, but most of us don't even do it. I mean, I caught myself multiple times being in a grumpy mood. So principle 2 is smile. Just go out there, wherever you're going. Maybe you're going to the supermarket, maybe you're going to the grocery store, wherever it is. Just smile. Just when you see that person coming down from the next aisle, just you guys are about to pass each other, just give that person a little sincere smile, and they're most likely 9 out of 10 times they're gonna smile back, and it'll kind of lighten your day, kind of lighten their day. And who knows, maybe that person needed that smile. Maybe that person was feeling just awful today. They woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and that smile kind of gave them a little glimpse of the positive in the world. So you never know what you can do with a smile. Principle 3 is remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. So kind of like I was saying for principle 1, everybody loves their name. Like, have you ever been at a party, just a bunch of people in one room? You just hear noise. Everything just becomes like mumble and muffled because there's so many people talking at once. And let's say you are in a group of people talking to your 2-3 closest friends, and then from the other side of the room somebody says what you think, or maybe it was what it was. Maybe it was your name. So maybe you hear somebody say Brittany, and then what happens? Even though you were in conversation with your friends in that moment, your RAS, which is another term, reticular activating system, it's what our brain focuses on in life. That's important to you, and obviously your name's important to you. So even though you heard mumbles before, you heard muffled talking, as soon as somebody said, or you think you said your name, your ears perk up, and immediately that brings your attention is brought to that. Before I even go on, I'm talking a little fast, so my mouth gets really dry when I talk fast. But there's a lot of principles, so I want to get through all of them. Okay, so principle 4, be a good listener, encourage others to talk about themselves. So that's pretty much what I said with principle 1. Is, like I said before, be a good listener, genuinely listen to what the other person is saying. Ask questions, let them talk, let them just feel that there's no judgment coming from you. Let them feel that it's an open conversation, and then you're really there to talk to them. You're not there for anything other than the fact that you want to lend your ear to them. Okay. Principle 5, talk in terms of the other person's interests. So if you really want somebody to like you, I mean, you can go into a job interview, you can go and meet new people and just tell them exactly what interests you, what you like about life, what you want, what your goals are, what your admirations are, or aspirations. And you can just keep talking and talking and talking. And why would somebody you just met, or somebody, just anybody, somebody you're trying to become friends with, an acquaintance, why would they be so invested in what you want out of life? They spend a lot of time and energy thinking every day about what their wants are, what their needs are, what their goals are, and people want to share those goals with other people. So if you let them, let me just fix my light. If you let them talk and just fully listen to their interests, that's going to go a long way. People are going to be like, hey, this person really genuinely cares about, what my interests are. I feel like I can truly trust this person. So if you let people be open with what they have to share, in the future they'll be more open to then listen to maybe your interests. First you have to listen, and then when you build that relationship, when you build that trust, when that person sees that, man, this person is completely genuine, they'll definitely start asking you questions about what you like, what are your interests, what do you want out of life. Hopefully you guys can see my hands, by the way. I have no idea how this is framed because I don't have one of those like flip screens where I can see myself. So this is a shot in the dark. I hope the lighting's great. I hope the frame is good. I hope I don't look like I'm waving my hands and you guys just see elbow movement, because that would be very weird. We're on all right, principle 6, make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. So this book is all about sincerity. Don't do things like flattery or anything like that makes the other person see that, hey, this person doesn't really care what I think, what I want to say, or or what I express. They just want, they have an ultimate goal from this. They, rather than really caring about what I truly want to hear, they probably just want something out of me. So, and people can read that. People can read the insincerity. I guess it would be an evolutionary kind of thing. From like when we were like cave people. Like you would want to know if the other person's being honest and trustworthy because you don't want to get clubbed in the head. So so principle 6, make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. Let me see, where's the... Okay, so then after that is the last part. There's 3 or 4 parts, but only 3 of them have principles, so I'm just going to go over the principles in the book. This one's how to win people to your way of thinking. All right, so this one has 12 principles. So this was definitely the lengthier of all the other parts. So principle 1, the only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. Obviously, I guess pacifism would be the way to explain that. Because usually when you get into an argument with somebody, things always get heated. It's not like you'll argue your point, they'll argue their point, and then you guys, you come to a conclusion where like, oh yeah, you are right, yeah. Like I don't think that's ever happened actually. I don't think I've ever argued with somebody and then the other person being like, or even me being like, yeah, I see your point. Yeah, it's usually, maybe it's going to be the other principles, but usually it's like what I found from having like, I don't want to say arguments, but misunderstandings with people or not coming to the same terms. Usually I get the best response when I actually listen to the other person and see where they're coming from. And then once I kind of listen to, their side of it and kind of try to understand where they're coming from, and then I show them, well, once I show them that I completely understand and completely, I see where they're coming from, that's when I usually start talking about my point of view, because then they're not as argumentative. They're more open to seeing different point of views and different sides. So usually, I like that principle because, arguments, they never get you anywhere. Usually just make situations worse. Principle 2, show respect for the other person's opinions. Never say you're wrong. Yeah, you don't want to blame somebody, because once you blame somebody, egos start to form, and people don't want to feel like they're wrong about anything. So that it's better to avoid saying that somebody's wrong. Like I said before, it's good. It's worked for me. Listen to the other person's opinions. Listen to the other person's side. Oh, this one is... Oh man. I'm getting a call, so we'll get into principle 3 in this GIF. Alright guys, had an important call right there. I think we were on principle 3, definitely principle 3. Because this is one that I fall into quite a lot. It's something that I'm still working on, and principle 3 is, if you are wrong, admit it quickly and empathetically. That one's definitely a rough one, because nobody likes to admit that they're wrong. So doing it like sincerely and empathetically can be a challenge. I've definitely been getting better. I try to, whenever I'm wrong now, or maybe I'm inaccurate about anything, I try to be conscious and aware of it, and then if I do catch myself, you know, being a little butthurt, or you know, being a little annoyed that I'm wrong, or trying to even like fight my wrong point just to not be wrong. When I am aware and conscious of it, I try to like step back and be like, okay, all right, I'm wrong, okay. But you know, that's definitely something that I'm learning how to definitely still work on. But so the book is saying that, you know, plus when you admit that you're wrong, it like clears up the air, and then you really just look at the objective, right? You know, you look at what the true facts are, and you just learn more. And it, you know, it like does the opposite. Rather, when you admit that you're wrong, it doesn't like crush your ego, or it doesn't like crush you, or you know, it kind of I feel like it actually makes me feel a little lighter, makes me feel better, because like now I'm thinking like, huh, it's not that bad that I was wrong. I mean, that doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't make me a dumb person. It kind of like, I don't know, it puts like this like little free edge in me. Like, oh, now I can kind of like let go and just like really focus on what's the objective, you know, what are the facts. And I just learn much more when I do admit when I'm wrong, compared to when I try to hold my ground and just fight for something that I even know is wrong, but I'm just like, I can't let this person win. It baffles me that I do that. Principle 4, begin in a friendly way. So approach everybody, pretty much don't be an asshole, pretty much is what that is saying. Don't, like if somebody says hi, don't punch them in the stomach. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So just begin in a friendly way. Principle 5, get the other person saying yes immediately. Oh yeah, so that's one. I actually really like this in the book, and it just helps with sales a lot. Is when you know, you're talking to somebody and you are, you know, even like, let's say you're trying to sell them a product, or you're trying to sell them an idea. Maybe you have a friend that you know that they have to do this certain thing because whatever they're doing now is maybe messing up their health. It's maybe putting them in a slump, whatever it is. So you can use this on anybody. Is you start off with a question where they're pretty much they pretty much have to say yes, because that's the only answer that makes sense. And you do that for maybe 2 or 3 times and get them into this yes mood. So when you pop the question that, you know, you want them to change about themselves, or if you're selling a product that you want them to buy, you get them, you know, in that yes mood. So when you go for the close, I would say, I guess that's a good way of putting it. I mean, you've like built them up to say yes to the close. So I mean, that principle is really good for sales, or even like persuading people in a good way. I mean, we're not talking about manipulation here. We're talking about persuasion in a good way, which is win-win for you and the other person. Like I said, if your friend is doing, or your you know, a family member is doing something that's not good for them or good for their health, you want to get them into this yes mood, so they're more open to the change that you want to instill in them. Principle 6, let the other person do a great deal of talking. Not like me right now. I would let the person I'm talking to do a great deal of talking. So some of these principles kind of sound like the principles that I said before, just said in a different way. But regardless, still really good principles. Principle 7, let the other person feel that the idea is his or hers. That one, I've had some people in my life that I've tried to give them advice, and I've you know, and at first they wouldn't take it, and then I find out later they started using the advice, but then they started using it as if I never told them that advice. It's like they came up on their own, and whatever works, you know, like, yeah, sometimes I would like the credit, but whatever. But you know, at least that person's taken the advice and is changing their life. So that's the most important part. Principle 8 is try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. That's what I was kind of saying before, is when you're listening to somebody, or especially like an argument, you know, if an argument is unavoidable, definitely try to listen to what the other person has to say, because if you really listen to what the other person has to say, whatever their argument is, or maybe you've wronged them or they've wronged you. If you listen to what they are saying and they feel like you're actually listening, they'll open up more, and then they'll be more receptive to listening to what you have to say. Principle 9: be sympathetic with the other person's ideas and desires. That goes into like the wants one, or interest, interest. Be sympathetic with other people's ideas and desires. Some people have different beliefs, some people have different values, and some people want to achieve different things. So ultimately, if you listen to them and don't come at it with a judgmental way, and just like it says, sympathize with their kind of point of view and what they want out of life, that can definitely build and strengthen a bond or a relationship, because the other person doesn't feel like, hey, this person is just judging me. Why would I want to talk to them? Why would I want to be their friend? Why would I even want to associate myself with them if I feel like I'm being judged at a core as who I am, or for who I am. Principle 10: appeal to the nobler motives. Well, this one was interesting. This was saying, like, if you want somebody, I was thinking about this last night. Like, let's say you want to tell somebody a secret, or this is the way I was thinking. Like, if I want to tell my friend a secret, rather than just telling them the secret, just to know that they won't say to anybody else, I'd be like, hey, I know you're a very trustworthy person. This is why I want to tell you this. Like characterize the person before telling them something. Or let's say you have, so you're a business owner, you have a worker that's not doing their best at the job that they were hired to do. You can just be like, hey, when I hired you, you seemed like a very charismatic, and let's say it's a customer service, like a very charismatic, and I saw like this leadership quality in you. That's why I hired you. But lately I feel like your performance was a little lacking, and then you build that nobler motive, that nobler character or characteristic, and that person will start forming to that specific requirement or that specific judgment you've made of that person. So they're going to try to reach that level that you see them as already. So that's a good way to kind of get people to form, or to kind of, this one I feel like is more manipulating, to kind of get you to the standard that you want them to be at. Principle 11: dramatize your ideas. This one helped me so much. So back then when I had an idea, or I wanted to like express something, I feel like I would say it at such a monotone level, with a monotone voice, and like I would just, like, I feel like I would lose people. Like I would not, because I'd be like, oh, I have an idea, and I would explain the idea, and just be like this, like, boring, like normal, like whatever idea, like if I could describe the idea in an expression from how I explained it would just be like blah. But like when you dramatize your ideas, you give those like emotional spikes to your ideas, like make it a little over the top. People get a little more interested in that. They get behind that idea more. They're like, whoa, what is this idea? This is something new to me. Especially the fact that people are we get very bored easily in life. That's why our thoughts always wander. That's why we'll sit in the car, we'll drive somewhere for 20 minutes and not even remember any of the ride there, because we get bored very easily. We tend to let our minds wander. So when you dramatize things, that like captivates people so easily. Like it's crazy, because it's such a low standard to like spike somebody's interest, that even a little bit of a dramatization will get that person hooked and listening to you, because you made it a little dramatic, or whatever it is. Maybe you emphasized on something, and people remember that. If you capture their interest like that, they'll remember that idea, and they'll most likely get even more behind that idea. So that's principle 11 is a good one. And principle 12 is throw down a challenge, which for some reason I do not remember what that one was. I remember that one. Oh yeah, I do remember what this one was. So principle 12 is throw down a challenge. So if somebody's not meeting the, let's say you're a business owner again and workers are not meeting your criteria, or let's say you're managing a team and your team's not meeting your criteria, challenge them. Give them a challenge, make it a little competitive, because people love competition by nature. So if you make something a little more competitive, people are going to want to strive for it. Oh, that he gave actually a good example in the book. It was, I think it was Andrew Carnegie, somebody, or Henry Ford. There was a day shift of workers and a night shift of workers, and the manager of the company just wasn't able to get them to, do the work they were supposed to and do the proper things that were needed, and I think it was Henry. Let's just say Henry Ford. Henry Ford was just wrote the number. Oh, he asked the manager how many cars did they produce or whatever it was, and the manager's like 5. So he wrote a big number 5 on the ground, and this story might be wrong. He wrote a number 5 on the ground, and then the night workers came in and looked at the number 5, like questioning what it was. And then they did their work, and somebody told them that, hey, this is how much the day shift made. So the night workers did their shift, and then they wrote a number 10 on the ground. So then the day workers came in and saw that 10, and were like, we can beat 10. And they ended up doubling that and making 20. So now it was this competitive edge. And just by putting this competitive nature into people, Henry Ford made his business boom so much more. And I'm hoping it was Henry Ford, because then this story is a lie. I think it was Henry Ford. It was Henry Ford and Andrew Carnegie. God, I read this book like 2-3 days ago and I already forgot. Sometimes memory gets the best of me. Alright, well, those were the 3 parts and the principles in each part. So there was 3 principles in part 1, 6 in part 2, and 12 in part 3. Again, Christian Hermansky, Red Shirt Realtor. If you guys have any questions about anything, if you guys have any books that you guys love to read and want to send my way, I'm happy to read them, because I've been doing 30 minutes of reading a night. I'm trying to read 12 books. I'm a little ahead of schedule. Don't mean to brag. So until next time.